Anna. I'm Head of Business Development at Oppotunities Accelerator. I read your bios, folks. I'm so excited to moderate panel with you. But can you make short introduction of yourselves with bullet points why people should listen to you at the end of a long day of panels? So please go ahead, share your first.
Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl. I'm an investment partner at Dragonfly Capital. Dragonfly Capital was founded in 2018. From day one, we've been global, so we have offices both in Asia as well as in the US. I am mostly based in Asia. As some of you might know, Dragonfly is a crypto native fund. We only invest in crypto. Very excited to be here, and thanks for having me.
Hi guys, Jacob from Superscript. We're also a early stage focused Web3 investment fund. We do infrastructure, technology, emerging use cases. And why should you listen to me? You probably shouldn't, because none of this is financial advice. So.
Hey everyone, my name is Augie, and I'm an investor with CMT Digital. CMT Digital is a 26-year-old trading and investment firm based out of the US. We've been investing specifically in crypto and blockchain for about 6 years across 3 funds. We partnered with over 100 companies in the space. I'm a partner in Head of Asia, which means I spend most of my time here speaking with founders from this part of the world. And before CMT, I was getting crypto for Sequoia Capital based in Southeast Asia. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey everyone, Luis from 7X Ventures. 7X Ventures is a research-driven crypto fund. We cover all areas, including infra, applications, and social, and DeFi. And we also publish a lot of research papers regarding to the latest innovation and trend in the industry. So yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. So my first question is, problems means investment opportunity. Big problems mean big investment opportunity. So dear investors, can you highlight potential verticals that will turn problems into good solution that you're ready to invest in? Oh, you go first. Sorry.
All right, certainly. So I think one problem more broadly that we see, I'll call it like use case definition, right? And this stems from the fact that, at least from our vantage point, it's very topical today to be investing and building in infrastructure. And that's not to say there aren't good reasons for that. We ourselves spend a lot of time investing in infrastructure as a category. But I think one part of the stack that's maybe a little bit less focused on is trying to answer the question, what is this eventually hyper-optimized infrastructure stack going to be used for? What are the use cases aside from, let's say, financial and speculation linked ones, which I would argue have some early product market fit? One decent answer to that question is maybe gaming. You're starting to see some green shoots there. But I would say it behooves all of us as an industry to try to answer that question, both builders and investors, focusing and spending time and dollars on trying to answer the question, what are the other use cases for which crypto and blockchain can create a 10x better user experience? And so the opportunity there is obviously consumer and spending time and investing in that category.
Thank you. Jacob, do you have any takeaways on it?
Yeah, so the way we look at blockchain is that we see it as the infrastructure or the rails for the new internet. If you think about Web 2, no one really cared that things were built on AWS, they just weren't. And so we're at that stage where we do need to get the infrastructure working. It's almost as if we're at the 56K modem stage of blockchain. It's very slow, it's very costly, because that's what decentralization and security guarantees bring. But how do you make that quicker? How do you make that faster? And how do you make that more trust minimized? There are solutions like ZK Tech being pioneered to be able to take a lot of the computation off-chain and so that you can generate a proof, send it back, and essentially you can calculate things without, with a certain level of trust minimization, and you can be sure that, that there was definitely something verified behind that. That really is an opportunity. It's still very early for us to invest there, but effectively, if we can improve that, we improve the user experience, the possibilities, and all the apps that we can build on top of it. So infrastructure.
Thank you. Sharon.
I agree with Jacob and Augie. I think we're kind of at a very interesting point in crypto's journey wherein the infra is more or less there, and I think we're all very excited about the kind of applications that might really come out. I think for us, we've always been very long-term investors and looking for products that have real product market fit. So many times when we first talk to startups, especially in this part of the world, like gaming, the question is always great. You've had a lot of success in Web2, day 30 retention stats look great, but why blockchain? Why are you using Web3? Is there a particular use case that you're really unlocking with blockchain that otherwise wouldn't have worked in Web2? For example, with the secondary trading marketplace, is a secondary trading key or native to how the game is played? If so, that would be an interesting opportunity. I think a lot of that there's been a lot of talk about, okay, how do we get to the next billion users? And the answer is really in how we're getting the normies into crypto. A lot of that is really about simplicity. So how do you actually simplify the user experience so that they don't really have to think about what chains they're on, they don't have to be thinking about bridging. And I think given where the advancements are in the quantum abstraction today, we are very excited in terms of seeing how we can really create something that's super easy to use. I think with Ren's Tech, that was obviously something that kind of brought in a lot of people from outside the usual crypto realm. So we're kind of always looking for applications like that, in which we're really drawing in a larger crowd of audience.
Great, thank you. Luis, your takeaway?
Yeah, I totally agree with the shares. And also for the front of app, and it's really amazing to see how they come board like so many users in a short time. I'm really excited to see how we'll access more kind of actual use case for the users. Then they can chat with the KOLs, or they can create group chat, or they can follow knowledge sharing platform with more and more use cases actual friends have. And I think the friends have also has potential in the social space.
Great. And we are investment guys, so can you support our previous question with a few names of your recent investment, valuation, check, name of the company, if you want to, if you can disclose to it. Jacob.
Right, okay, one second. I'm just trying to think because there have been so many investments and it's been a fantastic ride so far in the 12 months that we've been around. People were mentioning things
Sorry,
like,
keep that one, but still have an open round, so maybe you will attract more investors to the round.
yeah, people were talking about use cases before, so we started looking into real-world assets as a use case for blockchain. One of the most recent investments we made was into a protocol called Helix. It's a real-world credit protocol offering yield. They, incubated by a team that's been doing this in the real world for a while now on the fintech side. So they've got a real product to offer to accredited investors around the world. So we decided to back the team there.
Thank you. Luis?
We recently back out there, they are basically building like the infrastructure for rollup service. So they basically trying to build shared sequencer for execution there to solve all the rollup as a centralized sequencing problem. So I'm really excited to see how they can evolve to basically to solve this major problem, like a trust problem for layer 2 of the centralization and sequencing problem. And also with their rollup service, they can support like full engine in very low in very high speed, low latency. So I'm really excited to see that more gaming build on top of that.
Thank you. All the investors?
Yeah, maybe I can share the last 3 publicly announced companies that we've invested in Asia, and those are all sort of consumer related. First is a digital collectibles company focused on anime called Kasagi Lapo. We did that also with Jacob. Second is a gaming tooling company out of Ho Chi Minh called Supercoin that basically helps Web3 studios target and bid on users on traditional supply-side networks like Unity ad networks. And the third is Storyverse, which is a Web3 IP marketplace that basically matches up holders of Web3 IP, in other words, blue chip NFT holders, with ways to monetize that IP, whether it be content creators, game makers, etc. And I guess if I take a step back, like these three, I think as examples are the types of consumerish bets that we want to make specifically in Asia. And what I mean by that is, take Kasagi Labo. We are more than comfortable investing directly in consumer apps like this company when, to Cheryl's point, the underlying answer to the question, why does blockchain create a 10x better value proposition, makes sense. I would argue, and I'm sure Jacob would also, anime has a very strong fit in that perspective. Second, take Superfine. We're very comfortable investing. I come from a Web2 background. And so I think any business that is de-risked from a business model perspective, Superfine is basically a traditional ad tech platform. CPI minus CPM, tried and tested business model, but with a Web3 twist. And so these are some other category of consumer that we're happy to invest in. And the last one, which I think Storyverse is a good example for, is frankly anything that helps to facilitate an increased velocity of experimentation at any part of the stack. That statement broadly speaks to dev tooling, but I would say that Storyverse is a platform to facilitate experimentation around IP monetization. And so hopefully that makes some sense. Those are the types of things that gets us excited here in Asia.
I think one of the things that someone mentioned, like, why do you need blockchain for this, right? And those are examples of where blockchain does make sense. If you think about the technology, really all it is a distributed ledger, and the innovation is ownership, right? You can take a token, you can represent your ownership in something. And so when you have that being able to incentivize or augment someone's ownership in an asset, that can be very effective, but it really has to have that purpose.
Great. Let's proceed with the next question. What is your investment strategy with examples? For example, Animoca brands had a lot of capital in 2020, and now they're very picky with second rounds, correct? Some VCs recently stopped deploying capital. What is your current investment position, investment strategy in terms of deploying capital, and what expectations from the market? Share.
Investment strategy. I guess just to caveat, we don't do any pre-seed. We're pretty active investors from the seed and up. And so I guess what we look for in terms of product traction is probably a little bit different from some of the other investors on the panel who actually do a lot of pre-seed. But I think in general, all of us are maybe I should just speak for myself, very long-term investors. Definitely trying to stay away from projects that are just trying to perhaps make a quick buck from listing. In general, we like to talk to projects wherein listing a token is more of an afterthought to some extent. So they think about product market fit in terms of what are we really providing to the consumer and how do we monetize based on that value proposition. In general, when I come across founders who, when I ask about the business model and they say, hey, we're going to list our token, that's kind of a no-no. So we like to talk to founders who, like I mentioned, think about Web3 very carefully in terms of how they're really trying to use mechanism design to the best in terms of really fulfilling what they're set out to do. We are agnostic as to whether we come in at the equity or token. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Thank you. Luis, can you share some secrets?
Oh, our investment strategy, we tend to not invest founders at the beginning stage. We tend to work with them for 6 months. So the way we work with them is we actually do a lot of deep research with the project together. So in past 6 months, we have been be the first venture globally to publish articles about the machine learning and the intent in architecture and the data processor. So by working with top researchers from Ethereum, from Dashboards, from the other top companies, and plus those kind of early stage startups, then we have a better understanding about whether their products is follow the latest innovation and has some technology challenges and technology capability to achieve that. And also, I feel like doing the investment is like making a bet. The only way to improve our chance is to working with this founder as long as possible before making the bet. So that's the reason why we support founder doing research, helping them to write some papers, then by working with them, it can improve our chance to find like the best company in the industry.
Thank you, thank you. In terms of lack of time, let's proceed with the next question. Okay, you will be the first one who will answer. Valuations. Looks like Web3 valuations go to the moon. So do you have any takeaways on it? Can you, I don't know, name the healthy valuations or similarly, maybe you can name some verticals? And what takeaways do you have regarding valuations in the Web3?
Yeah, no, it's an astute point. I think we have not, from our vantage point, seen valuations correct in this bear market as much as maybe you would have anticipated. And I think that's broadly, according to me, for two reasons. One, there is still a lot of dry powder on the sidelines. Not Web2 fund dry powder. I think they have broadly, with a few exceptions, exited the space. But there's a lot of Web3 funds who raised a 2022 vintage and still have some capital to invest, which is creating some price support. But I think the other reason is, frankly, a lot of Web3 funds, and not speaking about anyone here in this panel, but a lot of other Web3 funds, I would say, are just less disciplined around things like valuation versus their Web2 peers. And I think that is a function of two things. One is, many of them are sort of first-time funds with perhaps limited investment experience. But two, I think the experience that they do have has been in an environment where, frankly, it was profitable to invest in companies even at lofty valuations. And that's because there was always someone there to kind of pass the bag to, whether it was a growth fund or a crossover fund or maybe even retail post-TGE. And so my point is, I think this will change. And I think, a lot of funds that are not incorporating some of these heuristics around ownership and valuation sensitivity will start to. But it's my 2 cents.
Right.
Yeah, I think some of the things that we've done on stage are very similar. Like, do you need blockchain for it? Doing research ahead of time to really work with founders beforehand. And I think those will be things that are going to be much more common now that we're, I suppose, in that market, or in a period where there are tightening interest rates that we haven't had before when crypto was around, essentially. I think one of the things about crypto valuation in general is that it tends to come with a premium to, let's call it Web2 or fintech businesses. And that's because people are willing to pay because they will be able to exit out of a token typically within, let's call it 1 to 2, 3 years, right? That's an unfortunate thing, or it can be a fortunate thing, however, whichever way you look at it. But sometimes that incentivizes short-term behavior. So I think that's why you see that, and that probably will revert a little bit lower going forward.
Just a quick note, which is that valuations in the private markets have not come down quite as much as they have in the public markets. And so right now you're also seeing investors look for a lot of OTCs or secondaries. The one piece of advice I would have for founders is it's actually more important to get the right partners along for the journey and really optimizing for valuation. Many times a lot of these vanity founders might struggle to raise their next couple of rounds. I think it's really important to just take a very long-term view about it.
Thank you, thank you. The next question is, what is the driving narratives and factors for the next bull market? And Louis, it goes to you, straightforward.
You mean like new narratives?
Yeah, so which factors will help to be closer to the bull market?
I definitely think like the social gaming is one of the narratives I'm super bullish. And I think right now that will definitely give like a lot of founders their new ways how to incentivize the users based on like the traction of the Twitter or Telegrams, like their traffic, how to basically one pair tag Twitter. That's kind of an interesting idea for a lot of founders to think about. Other than that, for infrastructure side, not really, no new narrative recently. That is why I'm kind of super relaxed and chill easy. I think that I'm very bullish on the application in Asia, like the incoming, like the 12 months.
Great.
I'm going to go buy some of your fintech keys tonight.
Guys, we have just 2 minutes left, and I like to finish these two panels with very simple questions. A lot of startups try to reach you out. What is the best way? LinkedIn, warm intro from your VC's friends, I don't know, email that's published on your landing page, whatever. What is the best way to reach you out for the startup?
100% warm intros.
Thank you.
Yeah, warm intros help, they're a bit of a filter, but if you have a unique pitch, something that's like different, or even the way that you pitch it, that would be great. You can reach out to me on Twitter at Jacob KXYZ.
Yeah, I was going to say the same actually. My Twitter handle for what it's worth is Augie, AUGIE, and then my last name, ILHE.
Yes, same like reach out to me on Telegram. It's like Louis_. And also my Twitter handle is the same here.
Or you can buy his friend tech key and he has to talk to you. Not financial advice.
Guys, I think those folks deserve huge applause. Please, thank you.